Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to take another look here at Dogecoin. Somewhat of a detailed analysis here, so I recommend you stick around so you can kind of understand a little bit more specifically about the macro, because when it comes to larger timeframes, we got to understand that there are some areas of resistance that we might be coming up against here soon that may be relevant to pay attention to. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And quick congratulations to those who took the long here at this, what was it, $2, 21 to 22 cent range. As mentioned previously, we had this nice looking cup and handle pattern. While I don't think anyone expected the price to go this high this fast, still really awesome to see. Okay, so congrats to those who did that. So here, take a look here at our premium group. We took some nice profits here. Solana, here we go, Dogecoin 67% and 79% from our second trade. Granted, that was from last week. That was on the 5th and the 6th of it. I don't recall, or if I recall correctly. But the whole point of me showing that to you is that, you know, Dogecoin is a coin that we've been pretty bullish on ever since the election. And I can tell you that a lot of that has to do with what's going on right now at the price action. So cool stuff. We're going to talk about overextension too, draw out some new fib levels. I'll post that information on our playout chart for Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar, and just kind of go from there. So we'll look at the macro, and we'll start with the back-end data first with the liquidation and see where we're at. Oh, before we get started too, I have to mention this. Thank you so much to our service members, our veterans out there, for your service. Deeply appreciate it. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for all that you've done for us. Again, today's Veterans Day, in case anyone didn't notice. So Dogecoin, last 7 days, we're going to double check a few things here. The liquidation data doesn't really tell us too much because it's so sporadic that there's not a ton of shorts here, but we can see a pretty heavy concentration, like 1/5 of $1 billion, it's like 200 million, about 34 cents. And that makes sense because that's, again, one of those areas of retracement. That's a macro resistance range based on previous weekly closures. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But honestly, you can zoom out or zoom in as much as you want. Liquidation data doesn't tell us too much here. What we may want to focus on is liquidation delta. And let's go ahead and update this here too, so we can kind of get the true numbers here. And let's see how much in liquidation we have. We are at 3 billion in liquidation long delta, basically telling us that in the last very short amount of time, last 24 hours roughly or less, we've seen a tremendous amount of longs open, some high leverage longs. That kind of implies the price is more likely to pull back at least a little bit, but the truth is here, bulls are absolutely in control. We're seeing this across the board right now. It's generally best practice not to short into that, okay? Again, you cannot, you do not want to go up against big money here, or in this case, just the illogical, emotional, FOMO that is happening right now, okay? It kind of contradicts a lot of technical analysis. And while what I'm showing you here soon is still relevant, because we need to know those key levels of either a retracement or resistance, that the market is bonkers right now. You're much better statistically taking a long versus a short. Okay, it's just a simple way to understand it. Either way, we got the most amount of open interest, get this, at 30.6 cents, okay? So there's that, and then of course secondary to that, 31.6. You'd expect that heavier concentration to be lower in the 30s, which there is still some at 29, but we have the most amount of people going long at 30 and 31 cents as a round number, okay? That is pretty insane, all right? That really just implies that the price is probably more likely to go up than down. Keep in mind there is a significant fair value gap. Most coins are showing this right now. It means very little for the moment, just based on how ridiculous the price action is for Bitcoin. Either way you look at it, we got this, this macro cup and handle pattern with no handle at all, just a broken cup that just keeps going. Smaller time frames, technically, we have the cup and handle that I talked about previously, but that's all hindsight right now. So let's look at some foresight and kind of understand where we're at. So these two red lines on the chart, again, this is the weekly candlestick closures in the past. Generally speaking, when you have a weekly candlestick closure, it reinforces the support and resistance of that level, okay? So here, basically for 3 weeks, this area was tested and couldn't pass 33.7. So it's really close to the price action now. If the price were to turn around, that would be a logical place to see some resistance. Secondary to that, we saw a very similar thing there 3 weeks in a row at about 37 cents. So 34 and 37, easy round numbers. Those are areas of consideration for retracement. If we take a look here, though, at just the macro, I mean, we're above all moving averages. We're going to be like that for a while. We're over 70 in the RSI. Last time we went above 70 in the RSI, just to give you perspective, it was from right here to here, this little range here. And I kind of talked about this with Bitcoin, too, when it gets over 70. We saw 166% from basically bottom to top, but when it retraced and pulled back, 130%. So we're talking Dogecoin, when it breaks through 70 on the RSI, it runs an average of 100 to 150%. Again, I'm giving you some ballpark figures here because that's not an exact science, but right now, hypothetically, we broke through RSI right here. We're at about 115. It would seem sensible for this area of consideration to be a retracement zone, okay? Because about 150%. So again, I'm just throwing it out there with RSI. It's one of the stronger indications that you can kind of understand it's important to note that we are massively overextended, but until the RSI comes back down, there's no real reason to consider selling. So if you have a long position open, it just implies you keep it open for the moment. I would recommend adjusting your stop loss higher because this market is so volatile. If we see a pullback, I think it'll be pretty aggressive. However, most altcoins are sustaining their price action, even if Bitcoin were to retrace a little bit. So that's awesome. Anyways, daily time frame, we see some massive volume candles. Once more, I'll post updated fib levels on our playout chart here soon. Not going to worry about it for now. But the key takeaway here is we're 7 days into this continuation. Most coins are exuding the same behavior. We're more likely to see a retracement in the next 2 or 3 days, just as a rough estimate as far as how overextension typically works. When we look at the RSI, same scenario here, over 70 on the RSI on the daily. Till that comes back down, there's no reason to sell. RSI on the 4-hour, exact same situation. The chart looks almost identical. Difference is we're massively overextended. We've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 candles without retracement. Okay, and that 13 candles, whatever that is, that's basically a significant amount of continuation. That's somewhere in the range of 3. It's a lot. It's somewhere between 2 and 3 days without correction, right? So again, massively overextended. Does that matter right now? Probably not. Okay. So again, all the more reason not to short into this. But do you take a long at the top? Short answer, I would say, is no, just because 34 to 37 cents is that the heavier resistance range based on previous weekly closures. So I'm willing to speculate we're going to see some resistance there at that level. So between now and then, sure, a long makes sense, I guess, but taking a long at this point just is less logical from a technical analysis standpoint. But from a FOMO, like, oh, my heart feels like I'm missing out on Dogecoin, am I gonna miss the boat? Sure, taking a long right now makes sense, right? There's that as well. So it really depends on what aspect of trading you want to tap into. Right now, it is a lot more illogical trading that's happening and more FOMO / moon boy success, right? And again, it happens. I mean, you got to be right once a year, right? And I would say a majority of moon boys are right now, but I'm super happy for them. Let's just put it that way. So Ichimoku Cloud on the hourly, let's clarify this here. We can see Ichimoku Cloud, 100% green light, good to go. Do not take a short position. All right. And if we take a look here, again, I'll update our fib levels, but based on previous resistance, local resistance, we can see we tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th attempt broke through this 29.7, round number 30 cents. Okay. So I feel if the price were to pull back, 30 cents would be a logical bouncing point based on how hard it was to cross that threshold. We also have not had a retest of this level yet because the price action has just been moving up ever since. So my anticipation would be to get in the 30 cent range as a potential long consideration, because I do feel like altcoins are going to start to cool off in the next couple of days, pending Bitcoin doesn't make a run towards 100K or higher. All right. And as we very well know, that's a possibility at this point, because at 77K, I really thought that was the short-term Bitcoin top to retrace to its local high to essentially bounce off that lower range, and it didn't happen. Okay, so if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, or in this case, if it can go right, it will go right. Maybe there's a different variation or iteration there. Either way, I'll post our playout chart here shortly on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. The short bumper sticker version here is do not short this coin. If you're going to consider a long, 30 cents seems like a very, very logical place to consider. And we'll take a look at larger fib levels here in a minute, and I'll post that here shortly. Last but not least, we're soon to unlock. We're just about there. We got almost 300 million in volume, so there's going to be 30K in prize pool money for our top 20 members here in our progressive prize pool. So feel free to register for that. It's really simple and easy. Just use the link down below. 60,000 will probably be unlocked considering we're well on target for that. So congrats to everybody for just some awesome trading experiences there with Bitunix, no KYC VPN. And thanks again so much for the awesome feedback to everyone else. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.